Greetings, kindred spirits. Well, the month of April is a big one. We've already had a 4-4 portal, Venus conjuncting the Pleiades and Vesta close by. And we have a full supermoon and a few other shifts. And I got a message to share with you all as well. It's not that every time I do an update I'll be sharing messages on this level, but I just feel it's relevant for this full moon onwards. So I'll get into that in a little while. But let's start with the full supermoon on the 8th of April. So the moon will reach its peak of fullness in Virgo in the true lifetime sky on the 7th of April at 22:35 in the EDT time zone, on the 8th of April at 3:35 in the GMT time zone, and at 12:35 midday in the AEDT time zone. So in the true lifetime sky, Virgo is actually the true ruler of the 7th house of relationships in 13 Star Sign Astrology. And because our moon is conjunct the goddess Juno of domestic harmony and traditional commitments, and both of those are in opposition to our sun Chiron and the black moon Lilith in Pisces, this actually portrays a very, very scattered energy when it comes to our commitments and our calling. Especially if the two are not in sync. So, many of us are going to be feeling like we've got a higher calling, or we're feeling this urge to get out there and learn something, or get out there and express something. But it could be that our commitments are holding us back in some way. And that will be different for everybody depending on what those commitments are. Like I said, it's going to be a scattered energy, but only if the two are not in sync. So our calling and our commitments, some of us are already committed to our calling, whereas others are not quite there yet. So there's also this strong emotional and impulsive energy being emitted by our full moon. And that can create explosive situations, if we're not in our self-power. And I mean that in the way of being centered and focused, rather than obsessive and in our ego, as some may be. It could be that in this time of great reflection, which I feel this time is all about, is that existing relationships for some are very much being tested at the moment, especially our domestic ones, or ones that are more on a personal level. And that would actually make sense at this time. But on the whole, this is a very transformative time, as many will continue to go through sudden shifts and twists and turns when it comes to the environment and our way of thinking. So we are being called upon to connect our inner wisdom to our higher consciousness. And although some are already in that place of balance, others may be struggling to find solid ground due to their commitments and responsibilities, or it could also be to do with external events. So this opposition is also part of a T-square, which is a grand aspect, and Jupiter and Pluto, the conjunction between them, happens to be at the point of tension, which really is all about us stepping into our self-power, but also in a place of unconditional love. So it's time for many to surrender their ego to a higher faith, like a higher consciousness. So, some of us may also need to revise our expectations that we have of others, especially when it comes to our intimate or domestic relationships, so with siblings, parents, children, relationships along those lines. So it's vital that we concentrate on our well-being, and that means physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually. So it depends where we're at on our path. Venus came into a conjunction with the Pleiades constellation, who is also referred to as the Seven Sisters, on the 3rd of April, although the 2nd and the 4th were relevant too. Venus conjuncts the Pleiades every 8 years. So the last time she made contact with the Pleiades was in 2012. So 2012 was a major turning point in the Gregorian calendar. Not only did it signify the end of the Mayan calendar, it was also in alignment with the Gregorian calendar. But it was in between like 2010 and 2012 that our sun shifted a degree back from 9 degrees Pisces to 8 degrees Pisces on the March equinox. And that's where the sun rises on the March equinox, which tells us the age that we are living in. And as I've said many times, we're not officially in the age of Aquarius yet, but we did in 2012 enter into our aura, and that is why 2012 was such a crucial year. It was a year where the awakening process started to step up, and many have been awakening ever since on a much larger scale than before that. And the number 8 is also highly significant here because it is the number of Saturn. And in my research, Saturn holds the crystal energy, the diamond light energy, which is a part of the awakening code when it comes to starseed activations. So the Mayan calendar, of course, wasn't telling us about the end of the world. It was actually a rounding up of a cycle, a greater cycle. And in the true lifetime sky, it was a rounding up of a 72-year cycle. So when we look at the bigger picture, in the last 8 years we have had some very significant and major conjunctions and alignments, one after another, when it comes to both the astrological and astronomical events. There have also been many prophecies and theories come to light from both the past and the present. But I do feel strongly that this 8 energy is preparing us for 2024, when Uranus moves into the sign of Taurus. And that adds up to the number 8. That will be a universal 8 year. And I feel up to that point, we are going to be in for quite a ride. So there is also another calendar I want to mention, and that's the Ethiopian calendar, which is around 8 years behind the Gregorian. So there is that number 8 again. And according to the Ethiopian calendar, we actually entered into 2012 in September 2019. So there is definitely a strong connection here, especially when it comes to the number 8, which is Saturn's energy. Saturn is the ruler of all man-made structures. Well, he's the ruler of the skeleton of them. He is also connected to our bone health in astrology. So we can see him as being responsible for the pillars of structure and support. And, in my research, I have found that Saturn is the father of Pluto. And Pluto was very bitter and resentful towards his father. but I will get into that story another time. It's just that the number 8 has really been on my mind for a little while now, as well as a chapter I read from the Bible many years ago. So, as most of you know, I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual. And although I don't fully support the Bible, because I know that the story it tells has been rewritten, and apart from the changes in most, if not all of the characters' names there, and timelines as well, there has also been a lot of truth left out of it. There's like the Book of Enoch, etc., other books that have been left out. But sometimes I pick up the Bible and just open it up at random if I feel guided to. And I do the same thing with my astrology books and my tarot cards, etc. But anyway, I've spoken a little bit about my own awakening that happened in 1992 and how at that time I was downloading a lot of information about the future and the breaking down of our systems. But at the same time that was going on, I was also really getting into anagrams and number sequences, which were all connected to the planets and the star signs. It was a pretty crazy time for me, but also very eye-opening and fascinating. So it was during that time that I randomly opened up the Bible, and the first thing I saw was verse 23 in Acts 8. I didn't understand what it meant at the time, because I've not really been brought up to read the Bible. I've been brought up to believe in God. I've been brought up to understand the laws of karma. I've been brought up to make up my own mind about religion. And, I'm really grateful for that. So, I don't really have much knowledge of a Bible, although I do know Bible stories and I have tried to read the Bible, but most of it's all gobbledygook to me, But there are times I pick up the Bible and it resonates. But like I said, it's only when I'm guided to. So at that particular time, came across this verse that read, "For I perceive that thou art in the gall of bitterness and in the bond of iniquity." And it's not just that verse that is relevant here. That was the first verse that caught my eye. And I've just read back on it recently. And I would say that the whole of Acts 8, and here's that number 8 again, I feel that it's a very strong message to the collective coming from the divine, So for those of you that are up for reading that, I would be interested in what you have to say about it, because I really do feel that there's a message in that, because at the time when I read that, it really stuck in my mind and it's never quite left me, but I've never really understood what it was all about. And then just over the last week or so, that memory came back, so please do get back to me and let me know what you think of that verse or that chapter in itself. And I also feel a strong connection to the archetypal energy of the evolution of Angel Michael and the blue ray star seeds, and also a connection to Angel Metatron of the golden crystal grid, or the golden rays. So yeah, I've kind of linked that as well for some reason. So yeah, please do get back to me on that. I'll be interested to know your thoughts. But that's the message I wanted to share with you all. So we have another 444 portal on the 13th of April. We'll still have similar aspects as we did at the full moon on the 8th, but I feel that our personal relationships will be the main focus on this day. So for some it could be painful realizations or misunderstandings, calls for a lack of diplomacy or an incompatibility. You know, this has been going on for a little while now, but it has become even more intense under the current energies and, you know, the situation that is going on in the world right now, or situations, I should say. So independence and freedom are the key themes that play here, and I feel many will feel liberated and empowered by the energies coming in, whilst others may feel alienated and hurt. So there is a compromise that is needed, but also a letting go of things that are no longer serving our highest and best. And that's another energy that's been going on for a little while now. But I feel that we are being pushed even more so than ever to take responsibility for our own happiness and to practice our craft, or, you know, get into alignment with our craft. So meditation, praying, chanting will all be good tools for attracting positivity into our lives. You know, Venus will be coming into an exact conjunction with the goddess Vesta of the sacred fire on the 15th of April. Although they were already coming into conjunction on the Venus-Pleiades conjunction. So to me this shows that there are some things in life that money cannot buy, and those things are true soul unions, and the potential for that to happen is very high for many right now. So yeah, I mean, with this energy, if we can raise our vibration above all the negativity, then we're really gonna connect to like our soul, or our soul union, or our higher consciousness. But I feel those are already in that place of balance. You know, there is soul unions taking place, or soul tribes coming together, or it's a continuation of that, because I've been seeing that energy over the last year, off and on, off and on. So it's definitely back on again. So I feel that Pleiades-Venus conjunction was all about that, especially with Vesta coming into conjunction as well, because Vesta is the goddess of the sacred fire. So that is the inner spirit, the inner flame. So the sun moves into Aries on the 19th of April. And again, the energies will be very similar, although much more powerful and energetic. You know, this is the sun coming out of water into the element of fire. And that may create quite a hiss as he fires up. So again, we must stay in our self-power. And our heart chakras may feel the strain under that energy, that shifting energy. You know, and I feel that further truths of ourselves and our situations will be revealed to us. We will be heading towards quite a shift in energy when the sun conjuncts Uranus at the new moon on the 23rd of April. And that will occur in Aries, you know, and on the 22nd, the day before, we do have another 444 portal, which in my opinion will be the most significant portal of this month, as it is the completion of the 444 portals. But I just feel like the first one happened right on top of the conjunction of the Venus-Pleiades conjunction, and this one happens right on top of the Sun and Uranus conjuncting in Aries. So I just feel throughout the rest of this month of April, we will continue to shift, grow and expand spiritually, mentally and emotionally. So I would say hold on to your hats, because there will be highs and lows, and but the highs will be very high and the lows will be very low, so we need to watch out for that. You know, the Black Moon Lilith's energy, it's very strong right now as well. So is Pluto, Saturn and Jupiter's. So these are all very strong dominating planets, forming very strong dominating aspects. And, you know, there's a lot going on in our world right now. And it's so important that we hold on to our faith, especially our self-faith and the faith in good. So as I said, it's the King James Bible actually that I've linked below the chapter I'd like you to read. I feel there's a very strong message there, even I'm not sure what the message is right now. So I'll be grateful for your insights. And, you know, I've, of course, added a Steve Nobel meditation, which is Summoning the Dragon meditation. Yeah, I feel that meditation is going to be fantastic to do throughout the rest of the month of April. He's also done one on the age of Aquarius, like aligning with the age of Aquarius. So I would definitely check that one out as well, and maybe do the two up until the new moon. I think that would be great. Anyway, I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you all. Thank you so much for your love and support. Peace, so much love.